So we are back in another new video. I thought I'd just record this, and I had this idea of how do we free our mind, and freeing our mind comes when we are going inward. And I thought, like, why not film this in a beautiful place like in nature, where our mind is really, really calm, and we set our mind very, very free. Because when we are in the distracted world, there is a lot of information. So there is information from the news, there is information from other people, from our past, from stories that we tell ourselves, things like that. And we live in a very, very noisy world. So how do we come out of that where the answers come easily? Is going to a nature, going to a place that where you're really, really calm, practicing meditation, and actually been reading a book. I probably have talking about this just a little bit, which is Transurfing Reality. So it's a book that I highly recommend if you want to listen to it on audiobook, things like that. And it essentially is I'm trying to remember something that I could refer from that book, but a lot of the time it's all about our mindset. So the thought that we tell ourselves, things like that show up in our reality. And news and things like that, let's say in COVID, there is a lot of projection of the news on, you know, this flu is dangerous, things like that, and people actually believe it. So how do we? So it just shows that other like media can have an impact on our thinking. And freeing our mind means like turning off the news, turning off the social media for a while, and just listen to the inner voice, listen to our inward. So essentially, that's the answer. So I wanted to touch base on the other thing, how you can actually free your mind. Let's say from the morning till the evening, what are the things that you can do in order to free your mind? So it always starts with your morning. So if you don't have a morning routine, what you could do is just structure your morning routine. So set a time. Let's say you wake up 7 a.m. Stick with that time, and also have sleeping routine as well. Let's say you sleep 9:30 or 10:30. Have some sort of routine. And when you get up in the morning, what is the first thing you're gonna do? A lot of the time, we as people, we look at our phones. Even I myself look at my phone. We scroll on TikTok, on Instagram, things like that. So those aren't really helping us free our mind. And it's like we look for that dopamine that gives us that sense of satisfaction. So which is why all these platforms are designed to take away our attention. And like when our attention, like it might be free, like let's say Instagram, Facebook, or social media, things like that are free to use. But what they do is that they take your attention. Even news is free, it's completely free, right? But there is pros and cons to being free. So they take your attention, they take your energy, and you have to ask yourself that question: does it actually help you get to your desired outcome? Does this belief system actually help me get to where I want to get to? So I would recommend knowing exactly what you want. In one of the video I did mention, get clear on who you are, where you want to be in your life, and create a roadmap to get there. And everything else is a distraction. So in order, sometimes when we actually set goals, we might get to a point where we are getting really anxious, or we thinking about how do I get there? You start getting nervous, things like that. So take one step at a time. That's my suggestion, because depending on your personality type, some people might be visionary, some other people might be like they want to know exactly what is the day-to-day routine without feeling overwhelmed and things like that. So what you could do is focus on one day at a time. So let's say you're stressed, you have your own business, you're stressed, or you're looking to start your business, and there's a lot of uncertainty. So instead of getting overwhelmed by a bigger picture, why not think about the smaller steps? So what is that first step that you can take? Let's say you start a business. Let's say you start a service-based business. For example of this video, you wanted to cut grass for other people. Instead of saying, how do I grow my business, things like that, how do I use the money which I don't have to buy a lawnmower or things like that, you could start knocking doors and tell them, hey, you're gonna, cut the grass for them. And one client will say yes, you get the money, and you now go buy the tool that you really need, right? So it's that simple. So look at all the steps you need to take in order to make that a reality. And no one really started their business, started their social media channel with big following. Everyone started from zero. They used what they had and they made it happen. So that's the topic that I just wanted to talk about. I'll come back to the topic of freeing your mind. So whether you are an entrepreneur, whether you're looking to start your own business, so how are you able to achieve your goal at the highest potential, but at the same time, free your mind? So it's so easy when you get into the entrepreneurship space, your mind is almost like 24/7. It's almost like you can't shut it down because you're thinking about outreach, you're thinking about lead generation, marketing, things like that. But I believe when you work too hard, when you think too much, you don't necessarily get the desired result. Let's say you work 12 hours or 14 hours. What happens? You burn out. Whereas quality work is more valuable, which is why I recommend doing deep work. So when you get up in the morning, what you could do is get into the good states. So find out what it is that is valuable for you, whether it's walking in the nature. And they actually say walking in the nature increases your dopamine. So when you're able to increase your dopamine, and the dog has the dopamine as well, so he's like screaming. So when you increase your energy level, you are able to think better. You're able to make better decisions and things like that. So I hope you got some value out of this video. I'll be posting more consistent video on this channel. Feel free to subscribe, and I'll see you on the next one.